welcome to Big Cube Sunday Morning, the land of intelligent women on the first Sunday of every month. Uh, they they are a fine group of people, entomologists, every one of them. You see a bug, they will say what that insect is because they know their entomology. Isn't that correct, Phil?
I know my bugs because I want to know how to kill them. And right now, I have mutant Japanese stink bugs in my kitchen.
Really? Ooh.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I've had them for years. They usually go away in the winter, but anyway.
That sounds like sci-fi.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Well, it is.
they're in my kitchen, and I've got elder box beetles in the bedroom half of the house, and they don't cross lines.
See, now I'm wondering.
They
how
each have their
excited-
territory, like the jets and the sharks.
Yeah,
This
they're
is
very
bad,
careful.
Phil. Very bad.
Very
Now,
yeah.
these bugs that your expertise in entomology helps you identify, do they do words too? I mean, can they, for example,
I don't know. I
There's a
don't know.
terrifying thought.
Some of them are acting almost sentient.
if I were to ask them what were they in cahoots with each other, could they tell me
Probably.
what the origin of cahoots is?
Okay. As an explanation, dear audience, before we came online, we were discussing the origin of the word cahoots. Mostly in, phone. When you have to go to the ER, phones know they're going to be needed so that their batteries immediately drain completely.
In unison. That's the trick. They're in cahoots with each other. So at that moment of crisis, they can all roll over and die.
Right. Okay, Bob, we'll defer to you again.
Okay.
Ugh.
That's very good that you do because, as I pointed out, obviously I'm in charge. This is B Cube Sunday Morning. We are where people go to find out what evil the Trump administration is up to. We have written volumes, and I do mean volumes, about that evil, to the point that actually my keyboard is now green. But that said, we have had we're having an experience today. We have got two of the four people on the podcast are sitting in a coffee shop. Okay, and while there they've got good coffee,
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
and it looks like good coffee. They were talking about the role of coffee shops in. That's not a coffee shop cup. That's a hippie cup.
Actually, it's a Ren Fair cup.
Very hippie.
Yeah, I just sorry, Phil. I don't know how to say, but ding ding. But enough of me and my brilliance. I must defer to the team, and so speak to me of coffee shops and what writers do there.
Let's see.
Yeah. Brenda, you set this whole thing up, so why don't you introduce our guest?
Well, this is Allie over here, and she is the proprietress of Bold Coffee and Books in Southwest Portland, Oregon. And the great thing about this particular shop we are sitting in is you can see behind Allie, it's not only the coffee behind me, it's about a bajillion books behind her. So you can sit here and read things and drink coffee, or buy books and and drink coffee. And there's also a whole list of events that are happening, which I cannot see right now, but they're on the bulletin board behind me. So this is sort of a hive of literary activity. and it is by no means rare in this town. Oh yeah, you have to be careful moving that. We'll all get car sick. But but I think Allie should tell us about her business model and maybe how you got sucked into this in the first place.
Gladly. Well, good morning, everybody. My name's Allie. I use she, her pronouns. And yeah, I am one of the owners here of Bold Coffee and Books. And so we started a little over a year ago in October 2024. My husband wanted to open a coffee shop. He'd been, just noticing the coffee shop culture and also wanting to connect with people in that way. He's a high school counselor, so wanting to provide safe space for people. And I've worked in publishing for 20 years. And so I was like, that I love coffee, so that sounds great. But if we're going to do this, there have to be books.
A noble and laudable thought.
Oh, well, thank you. And so but with wanting to have that, having that social justice at the heart of it all. And I've been really active in the publishing community too, about trying to promote more diversity, because there are all of these studies that show that despite it being 2026, the publishing industry is still very white, cisgendered, abled, hetero, and all of the things. And so in my other business that I've been working in for 20 years, been trying to we have scholarships that help support more students of diverse backgrounds going into the publishing industry, which then hopefully helps with the choices of making more diverse, making choices to publish more books by diverse people as well. And so that's the other business. But then with this one, we decided, okay, let's go ahead and reserve 80% of our shelf space for authors from diverse backgrounds or underrepresented communities. And that, so yeah, the book's behind me. We're not a real big bookstore. We're not a Powell's, but we have a very, very curated selection that I'm honestly very proud of.
And it is, I guess, I don't know if people in the Pacific Northwest, people who are not in the Pacific Northwest possibly do not know that the coffee shop is a major cultural thing in this region. It probably has something to do with the Douglas fir, but coffee is ubiquitous in the region. In fact, we won't tell Donald Trump this, but putting a tariff on coffee would probably kill us. We would all die. We would just dry up and blow away. But we won't tell him that, and I don't think he'll notice. We need to, there are coffee shops everywhere, and they very rightly all seek a different ecological niche. And so the variety of, there's a good few brew pub coffee bookstores. Powell's sort of is the big dog, the biggest used bookstore in the world. And it is within walking distance of where we sit. But there's at least 5 used bookstores around here, just in the south, on this side of the Willamette River. And there's a lot of bookstores and flower shops. There's a place on the other side of the river that sells used books and used yarn. I cannot believe this. It's like the Extra Skeins store, and you can interchange the credits, bring in your used books and trade them in for yarn. Who would have conceived such a thing? So it is an amazing thing. And so one of the great things about Bold Coffee is that it sort of fits into this, but it also, with the whole emphasis on the less less heard voices in literature, this needs to be done, and the right way to do it is from the ground up. So it has there's a lot of fun things going on here.
And for those of you who do not live in the Pacific Northwest, I live on Mount Hood, 40 miles east of downtown Portland, and we get twice the rain that Portland does. We get in excess of 90 inches a year. And the definition of my little town is 40 degrees and raining, which it is today. My husband literally has every light in the house turned on because it's so dismal outside.
And
so
coffee, you need coffee.
Yes, and I have my dragon cup. I write about dragons, so my favorite drink, my favorite coffee cup features a dragon, and it says, "Here there be dragons," which you don't dare open my office door unless I've had my coffee.
No, and you can see that in this town. I walked into this store at 8:30 in the morning, and there were already people here. And you're going to see a constant come and go behind me of people coming in for their caffeine fix of the day. I forget. I think Allie keeps this place open all night. It goes until some fantabulous hour. You do all this evening stuff. Maybe you should tell us about the things. What else you do here? There's that whole list of stuff in the back.
Sure. Yeah, we do a lot here. Cheryl, also, I saw your question about what is meant by curated. So we're very conscious about the books that we put on our shelves. And excuse me. So like every bookstore has to make choices about what books they're going to carry because there are millions of books, right? And there's only so much shelf space. But because one, we're mission driven, and also two, we don't have a lot of shelf space, to be totally honest. We're extra conscious about that. And so every book that we carry, we are looking at the criteria of like, okay, is this by an author who is from an underrepresented community in the book world? And so that might mean BIPOC authors, it might mean queer authors, things like that, but it could also mean adoptees. And so a little bit of background there, I'm an adoptive parent, and people say all the time, you should write a book about your experiences. And I respectfully decline because the vast majority of books about adoption are by adoptive parents. And that is not the voice that needs to be centered in conversations about adoption. It needs to be the voice of adoptees. And so we carry books written by adoptees as well. And just kind of looking in all kinds of ways for that. So widows, things like that, all kinds of definitions of underrepresented, but really trying to make sure that the voices that are not really getting the attention that they deserve, they get to be centered here. And then, so for the events, we're still mission driven in those as well. So we do stay open until 9:00 at night on Fridays and Saturdays because we have readings. Brenda's apparently already in bed by then. So we host readings and writing workshops. We had 2 nights ago, we had Meet Me at the Crossroads is a progressive discussion group that meets here on a quarterly basis. So also very, they have a similar mission to us. And so we host them here. And we were writing letters to Congress and the Senate about civil rights violations and things like that. So all of these events, those are Fridays and Saturdays, but then we also have on Saturday mornings, we have children's story time, which we center inclusivity on that as well. We have books about adaptations for children with disabilities that get read. And that, I love that because it really helps kids from an early age see that other, kids with differences are kids who want to play and be included as well, and that it's not something that has to push them to another part of society or the playground or anything like that, but they can be included and there can be adaptations that help with that. So if they have another kid in their class who uses a talking device instead of using their voice, still go and play with them. That kid still has great things to say and wants in great thoughts and great, it's going to be fun to play with. And then during the week, So this is, I have to admit, like the during the week events are kind of where my heart is too. So we have write-ins every
Mhm.
Wednesday evening. We're not open till 9 during the week. We're open till 7 during the week, which is still later than a lot of coffee shops in the
People
area.
have to go to work,
Including me. But yeah, so Wednesday evening we do sit down, shut up, and write in.
Mhm.
On Fridays, there's a chapter of the Rose City Sci-Fi and Fantasy organization that comes in and hosts a write-in for 4 hours, actually. We do on Tuesdays, it's a rotating reader or writer social. So there's open mic, which Brenda has performed at. I hope that you're going to come this coming Tuesday, Brenda.
I wrote an article about reading at open mic events. At some point, when it comes out, I'll show it to you. There,
Oh,
SIFWA
good.
is publishing it, so I'll haul by at some point with it.
Awesome. I can't wait to read it. We also do silent reading parties on Tuesdays, book publishing Q&A. That's something that that I do personally. Again, I said I've worked in publishing for 20 years, and so I like to host that event to help demystify the publishing process for writers. And then we do a writer's social on the last Tuesday of every month. We do writing contests. So again, this is really about creating community, and part of it is activism related, and part of it is just our local neighborhood related, and a big part of it is writer related.
Mhm. And this coffee shop is in a really good location. You cannot see it from here, but the IMAX, the light rail goes right by. Look, there one goes. It's outside the window right now. So it's very positive in the sense that you can get here in many different ways. It's not you're not locked in with cars. I went to Houston, Texas for Christmas, and I was horrified. You can't take transit anywhere in Houston. It's terrible. You have to have a car. So this is a really much better town for that. And I really, location is so important for a retail business. So I think you have a good one here.
Portland is also well known for its being bicycle friendly. Having bike lanes on most of the major roads, and having coffee shops on every corner to refill a tired cyclist.
I can look outside and see the bike rack, and actually I think that's an electric bike rack directly outside this window. So you can just roll up and take your electric bicycle to wherever you want to go. It is astounding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll say too, these bikes, and I think that they're becoming more common in urban areas, but for anyone who doesn't know, these are rentable electric bikes and electric scooters. And so it's a rack that they're just there. You have an app on your iPhone and you scan the QR code and you rent it. Maybe you walked here, but you're tired and you don't want to walk all the way back to wherever you came from. Rent a bicycle or scooter to take you there. Sometimes I use it because sometimes if it's like we're close to the Timbers Stadium. If it's during a Timbers game, it can be hard to get your car back into your parking space because somebody else is going to take it. And so if I'm like, oh, I got to run to the bank real quick, I'm just going to rent this electric scooter and put the money in my backpack, and I'm just going to scooter on down to the bank. It's really handy. I love that.
It is
bike friendly.
the diversity. I guess this is a good town for diversity. Not only the diversity of riders, but diversity of modes of commuting. I just watched the bus go by this window. It is just the streetscape and the life is fun. Looking out these enormous windows here. I guess the light has turned. 3 SUVs have just zoomed by. But there is so it's sort of an exciting small business, and and that's another thing that this is a very typical of. This is a town that's friendly for small business entrepreneurs. You don't have to be Bed Bath and Beyond or REI or something. You can be a small, really small, you and your husband small business, and that's something that we should all support because small businesses are sort of the root of American.
Okay. Our fearless leader has just posted in private chat. Remind us again of the name of this wonderful establishment.
Oh, Allie, pick up the ball. There's a logo up here. Oh, T-shirts. Hang on. Okay. I don't think you can see it behind me, but there are T-shirts on the wall too, which I don't think I should lift down. But it's Bold Coffee and Books, and I think that you're actually in the Goose Hollow neighborhood, at the corner of Jefferson, and is this 18th out here? But it's right on the IMAX, the bus, and the you can. It's frightening. It's frightening how easy it is to get here. I walked here myself, so it is. And fortunately, at this instant, it's not raining, and so it is. It is the sort of neighborhood bookstore that it would be nice to have everywhere because, small bookstores are almost better than big ones because they're focused and you can. If your particular needs hook up to this particular bookstore, you are in hog heaven.
Yeah. I just found the button to show me the comments from our audience. And so I'm scrolling through to see if there's anything I need to add to the conversation.
I wanted to add while you're looking at those. So some of those shirts behind Brenda, so they're very fitting in with our mission. One of them says "Drink coffee, read books, dismantle systems of oppression," and it is. I have to say that one's kind of my all-time favorite. But all the others are great too. Ban the fascists, save the books, things like that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we defined curating the books. But Jenna Hannon Moore says 40 degrees and rain sounds pretty good for those of us living in 0 degrees and snow.
Yeah. I heard that it was 27 degrees in Florida yesterday, and they're having blizzard conditions on the shore in South Carolina. This is not good.
Yeah, this is something,
It is unfun.
My brother lives in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he's apparently they're positioned so that a lot of the really worst of the lake effect snowstorms coming down bypass Virginia Beach.
That's good because they're on the shore. You would hope that the winds do not, but it must be cold.
Yeah, which I lived in Virginia Beach for about 5 years growing up, and it was
raw.
We get snow once in a while, but for the most part, it was very like Oregon in the winter.
Yeah. Well, I've stood in Virginia in the snow that came up to my chest. So it just depends on the season. Sometimes it's heavy and sometimes it's not. And if you're not lucky, then it is unpleasant. What is kind of frightening is if it's really cold in Florida, all the palm trees and the banana trees and everything, they can't take it. They die the true death. Those stumps you see sticking up in Houston. The last cold snap took them out. And, the tree could be 40 feet tall, but it's dead at the top.
Okay. We have a listener with a name that's new to me, Baba Shaggy Baba, would like to know if you lean more towards nonfiction in your books.
Not necessarily. We have a pretty big, about 50% is fiction, and then about, I should say 40% is fiction, 40% is nonfiction, and then the other 10% makes up the poetry and kids' books, middle grade.
You've got a lot of kids' books here. I'm just looking around.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 bookshelves, and of course, all the low ones are devoted to children's books because they're not tall. And I can see my 2 all the way up there. At some point in the past, I hold up 2 of the Tor hardbacks and shove them up here. So it is. It's quite cool. It's, as you say, it's small. The other thing that happens in this town is because Powell's is so big, you cannot do it all. You have to find your niche because you're never going to get into the ring with Powell's. It's just not possible.
For context, as a Midwesterner, when you go into Powell's, they hand you a map, which you need because there are 5 wings. And I have never seen a used bookstore that was large enough to require a map before I visited Portland. So
Yeah.
I am told that the building used to be a used car dealership, and that's why the levels are a little bit weird. But what happened was they bought the entire building, and it's 5 1 block size stories packed solidly full of books. It is truly terrifying, but you can't. No one can do that. What you have to do if you're going to have a bookstore in this town is to do something different, like in the musical. You got to have a gimmick if you want to be a star. So everybody finds their gimmick, and that's good, because then you really can find a bookstore that dials in on what you're really interested in. And there's new ones all the time, and there's all these old favorites like this one, that you've been able to keep this place. I know how starting a small business is sort of exciting and risky. This one, I think, has finally, it's taken root, and I think you're alive. You're not going to die right away, because it's always a gamble to do this kind of a thing, and it's really brave. There are things that I can do, but I don't think I could start a business.
Yeah. With my vision problems in later life, I do not do well with a lot of peripheral visual stimulation. And so I gravitate to stores like Allie's because it's contained. Where
you go to Powell's and you vibrate.
Yeah, and it's kind of overwhelming.
It is.
At times.
It is. And Powell's itself has a coffee shop, so that when you start to collapse from the sight of too many books, you can go downstairs and drink something and recoup your strength, because it is indeed overwhelming. So this is, it's nice to have a more curated experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, and one thing that I want to add to this part of the conversation too is that for anyone who doesn't know about bookshop.org, they are a really, really incredible organization.
Is that the one about small bookstores?
Yes.
Oh,
and
okay.
so small bookstores like us, where we've got, a small curated selection on the shelves, you can still buy any book that is almost any book in print, any book that's in the Ingram system, which, if you don't know, Ingram is the main warehouse system that bookstores order their books from. Mm-hmm. You can buy those from bookshop.org, and they will be mailed to you. So just like any sort of online shopping, you can get it sent directly to your home, and you can choose which independent bookstore you want the profits to go to. And so if you go from our website, bookshop or boldcoffeeandbooks.com, and you click on the books, you can go directly to our bookshop store, where we've got some recommendations. But again, you can use the search bar to select any book that you have on your mind, and you can order it, and the proceeds from your book purchase come to us. Or you can choose a different independent bookstore, and if you don't choose an independent bookstore that the proceeds go to, then it goes into a pool that is then divvied up to all of the member bookstores. So it's a really incredible organization that helps independent bookstores stay in business.
Great.
It's as easy as Amazon, and so much more ethical.
Yes, that's so true.
Bob has asked, do you have big, fat, comfy chairs?
Yes, we do.
They're directly behind me is a couple of very nice sofas.
Yes, if I move slowly, can I maybe do a little? Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Well, live dangerously. I could stand up and we could see all the people sitting in these sofas.
If it makes you sick, close your eyes or tell me to stop. Okay, so here's.
Okay, she's turning around. Okay.
So there's the.
Okay, now the books are behind you. I can see the books behind you, and you're turning now.
Okay.
Okay. She's moving.
There's the shirt wall.
Oh yeah, go in on the shirts. Can you do that?
Yeah, we can.
Be careful. Don't drop your laptop, for the love of God. Very
that
cool.
Would be real bad.
Yeah, and there's the events bulletin board, which is always completely packed full of stuff. They also do book birthday parties and book announcements and all kinds of stuff like that. I see sofas, yes.
Yes.
And beyond the windows in the back, you can see the street. And of course, at this moment, there are no streetcars or buses going by, but there you are. And I see that we're just getting towards the coffee machines. And the sandwiches and croissant and pastry, you should know about that.
Mhm.
So, all these things are very virtuous. Everything is calculated to promote creativity. And as people probably know, you really need coffee if you're going to write books. Either coffee or tea is the backbone of fiction. And and that's why holding write-ins in this space is very good, because you can drink a couple of cups of coffee and boom, you can go and crank out 1,000 words.
Yeah.
We have beer, wine, and cider too to reward
Yes,
yourself
you got
after
your
you
liquor
hit your
license.
daily quota.
Yes, yes, that's very good, very important.
A lot of the sidebar conversation is centered on winter weather, where they are, and there's, 25 in Florida.
Oh my God.
And but the one that caught my attention really was it's not yet ice 9. And for those who read classic science fiction, especially short fiction, that is a story where some insane military guy invents, put a drop down on the ground and it freezes immediately and spreads, so armies can walk across rivers in
On
summer,
the ice.
on the ice, but they can do it in summer. You don't have to be dependent on bridges and whatnot. But what they don't realize is that each molecule that freezes the molecules surrounding it, which freezes the molecules surrounding that, and it spreads, and there's no stopping it.
And so gradually the earth becomes a ball of ice.
Right.
Hijinks ensue.
Yeah, so time to go, seek out your classic science fiction short story.
I think that one was by Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think it's Cat's Cradle.
Yes,
Is that the
by Kurt
title?
Vonnegut.
Which there's also a really interesting fictional religion in it. It's a whole
Yes,
trip.
yes. Back in the day when they were doing more recreational drugs in this industry, some of the writers had some really, really wild ideas. The recreational drugs are not a solution for everybody, but for science fiction and fantasy, you can go a long way.
Yeah.
Well, what's
coffee
funny?
and tea are my
Coffee
drug
and-
of choice.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of the compounds in like coffee and tea are actually designed by plants to deter insects, and we're the only species that has looked at those and goes, "Oh, those stimulate my brain. Give me more, please."
Yeah.
They are recreational drugs. Arguably.
And I have to admit that there was a time, for my health reasons, my doctor said, cut out caffeine.
No.
But anyway, I did it for about 2 years. And then when I finally got to the point where I needed caffeine for, I tried it once again, and I was amazed at the immediate brightness in my mind.
We're addicts, really. Allie is a pusher.
Yeah. And so, I've never gone totally decaf since. I cut off at noon, but,
I live in fear that my doctor will say, no carbs or sugar anymore for you, darling. And then I'll be in real trouble. I'm going to pull the ethnic card. I'm going to say, it's against my ethnicity does not allow me to not eat rice. I'm sorry. Better to die.
Yeah. Cliff Winning just reminded us that Cat's Cradle by Vonnegut, the religion is Bokononism.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
They did good drugs then. It was the 1960s.
Yeah. If you remember the 60s, you weren't born yet. Or you weren't really.
No. I wrote a book set in that period, and everybody does heavy drugs, everybody. And so it does make the plot much more irrational.
Yeah. And somebody else put up a link to bookshop.org.
Oh, good. Very good. I see it also down here at that might have been Bobby here who put that up. Very good. That sounds like a good cause.
Do people write on their laptops, or do you get the occasional oddball writing in a notebook?
You mean
Both. I'm one of the oddballs that writes in a notebook.
And you have the readings here. I can see over here, if I look to one side, the music stand that people stand at. And the only thing about this music stand is that people sometimes read from their laptops and balance them on this music stand. It's terrifying. It's like I'm waiting for that laptop to commit suicide.
Yeah, go to a tablet. Use a tablet.
It's frightening to see, but people just have I'm sitting here on a really, really big laptop because visually I need the big screen, and so I could not read from my cell phone. But the music stand makes me nervous and sad. So when I read here, I bring it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of background there though too. Like most of the people who are just reading for open mic and using their laptops on the music stand, like they've got their hands on it. And so I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit better about this. But we've got one reader who likes to come in. His name is Reverend Watt, and he puts his laptop on the music stand, and then he plays the violin, which obviously he needs his hands for the violin, and so the laptop is just balancing on the music stand, and I'm kind of like, let me scoot my chair closer so I can like catch it if it falls.
Maybe he could have an assistant sort of hold it for him, like the guy who turns the pages of your music. It is the actual culture of the open mic reading is a real entirely separate thing, because there's no requirement that you be writing fiction, that you be writing, that it could be reminiscence. You could have thought of what you were going to say 1.2 seconds ago. It is truly a open experience, and you come in, and sometimes those heavy drugs have clearly come into play, but other times there's some brilliant things happening. So it is in completely interest. That's another little separate subculture. There's a guy in my building, and I brought him. We came here together. He's an open mic guy. That is, he has like a concept. I'm going to tell the story about my leaving the law school or whatever it was, and then he'll walk in and talk about it. And by doing open mics over and over again, he gets pretty darn good at doing it without anything written. And then what he's been doing is, there's a whole subculture of people who do oral storytelling, not on paper, just like that. And so now he's headed off into that direction, and he's going to these contests where they just walk up on stage and tell the story of why I left law school. No paper, no records, but he's done it often enough that he knows now, when to pause, when to let the audience laugh, all of these things now, and it's all in him. So it's completely different storytelling experience from paper, where we're kicking the words and tinkering with them. And should I say cahoots, or will it completely throw the readers off?
Yeah.
What I feel like I should pitch here.
Okay.
I wished we had this in the United States more. Have you folks ever heard of a masked writing competition?
No.
Yes, it's something that they have in Latin America, where it grew out of luchador culture. So people come in and they have their masks and their costumes, but they get a prompt and they face off in writing. And then the short pieces that they write from the prompt are judged. And I'm like, that sounds like such a colorful addition to coffee shop writing culture. I'm just going to throw that out there as a pitch.
Allie, for Christmas. No, not Christmas. Halloween. Think about it.
Yeah. I think it was in December we had Sherwood Smith on and talked about preparing yourself to do a live reading, and how useful it is if you're reading from something that's been published, take it off your laptop, print it out, but you can enlarge the font.
Oh, you can. 16 point is delicious.
It makes it so much easier to read than the little teeny tiny.
Yeah, and there's a whole thing. Charles Dickens was famous for having a completely separate reading text when he's reading aloud. He would make money by reading to audiences, but he would adjust the text of Oliver Twist or whatever it was for the reading. He would, bob out the long paragraphs of moralization about, the how we oppress the poor. He would add in little explanations. Who is Bill Sykes? I don't know. I don't remember. Nancy sleazy boyfriend, and they're just popping in that little explanation and says, right, of course he's going to murder poor little Oliver, and away we go.
Yeah. So if in response to that music stand, print it out and don't use your laptop and risk it falling to the floor and dying.
Oh, absolutely. I can't, the idea of my laptop crashing to the floor. Oh my God. I have written an article, and it will be in Planet Side magazine this coming month, and it is about reading aloud for authors. So that's the publication of SIFWA, Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association. And so it's targeted solely to writers. When should you come over here to Allie's place and read aloud? Maybe you should have a book announcement party, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. I use this format as well as Bookview Cafe, which is an online publishing cooperative, and which I love. And anything you want, you can do to get the title of your book out is wonderful. I have it's a reprint with a new title and new cover coming out in May. And I may want to monopolize this platform to announce it to the world.
Yeah, well, if you want to come down here and do a reading, you can always crash at my place. It's too far to drive back in one night.
Oh, yeah.
But you can think about it.
Do you know, the last time I drove in Portland was when I came to visit you at your condo. 5 years ago? It was before COVID.
Well, it is it's I can get you a parking space. I can get you free parking, but you have to think about all of our your health issues, Tim's health issues.
Yeah.
So, and in the wintertime, frankly, to drive down the mountain's a little challenging.
Yeah, well, it's driving back home.
You can think about it. Let me know.
Yeah.
But bookstores like this are sort of a pore that you can sort of reach readers through, and so it's kind of nice. And so you have like book announcement parties or whatever it is, right? That's part of the list. Allie has a list of. I get them on Facebook. I watch them all go by, and oh God, there's a chalkboard up near the door where I can see everything written down. So you do lots of stuff, right? Ooh, I think we've lost it. Am I lost?
No, I think I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Okay, somehow we fell. Darn it. Okay. If you need to, you can come over here.
Oh, Phil, am I in? Okay.
Yes, you're there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we do book launches here, and we have catering. And so sometimes when people do their book launches, they want it to be, really big parties. So we do catering, and we've got, like I said, wine and beer and things like that too. So that can be really, really fun. And then everything small to large. Like we love supporting folks like that.
Yeah.
I was going to see if I could maybe share my screen, which is why I had to pause for a second there, because I was trying to click on the share screen button. We have an events calendar on our website that shows all of the recurring events, like those write-ins and the open mics and everything, but also what the different readings are and all of that. So it's pretty. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I think that these events are fun, and the community members tell me so too. So I think that it's working out all right.
Yeah. About the catering, I have found that too often the caterers serve shortbread cookies because it's easy to make thousands of shortbread cookies all at the same time, but they crumble and you get crumbs all over those wonderful books.
Well, it is challenging, but you pull from your attendees, not only from the right surrounding neighborhood. It's mainly residential right around here, so there are a lot of people who just live here and walk here, but you get people from further out.
Yeah, and I mean, that's part of the thinking behind the readings and stuff too, is that the topic related events are the ones that like yesterday morning we had
for story time, we had a family from Gresham that came in because they know their little kiddo, 2 years old, absolutely loves this book and saw that the author was going to be here. And so they're like, oh, we are rearranging our schedule so that we can take our kiddo to this story time that this author is doing, because the author's not doing anything over in our neighborhood. We're going to come over to the southern side of the city so that, which, yeah, Gresham's like 40 minutes away, in order to make sure that our kiddo can meet this author and see this live reading.
They came in from the Woodburn Old Believers community?
Gresham.
Gresham, okay.
Out your way, man. That is a long way to come. Amazing.
I mean, Gresham is 25 miles from me.
Yeah.
That's my nearest big city.
Yeah.
So it's the only reason I have to come into Portland is for little stores like you, where you can find things you can't find anywhere else except online.
Mm-hmm. And there's a charm to just walking up to the shelf and looking at a book rather than looking at it on the page in Amazon. And, to be able to open a random page and look at it is really very nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just, we've had comments here about the tactile sensation of a real book. Mm-hmm. Even though I probably do 90% of my reading on a Nook. Mm-hmm. Hey, I can carry 300 books with me on a Nook. But I did read an actual physical book recently. Mm-hmm. It was a research book my brother sent me, and it is an amazing immersive experience that you can't get with a Nook or a Kindle.
I am tempted to leap up and pull something from one of these shelves, but I don't think I will. She's got all kinds of stuff on this shelf besides books. There's little book sculptures of black cats or ravens. And there's, I think these look like they're either cards or blocks with hearts on them. Valentine's Day is coming. And so there's like, it's eclectic, which is like a really positive and good thing. It's very, very Portland, this is not how politics and prose looks in Washington, D.C. It's very of its place. And I think that bookstores should be very of their place. You should be able to step into a bookstore and say, oh yeah, this is the one single English used bookstore in downtown Amsterdam. Right. And they look completely different from every other bookstore in the world.
Mm-hmm. I'll agree with the comments about, how nice it is to have a tactile book. There's that experience of it. And like, if it's a matte cover, like, to be totally honest, like you could see me petting some books sometimes if they've got a really nice matte cover. So I definitely, I agree with that tactile experience. And also I read books in other formats too. I think the accessibility of ebooks and audiobooks is just really incredible. I really got into ebooks when my husband and I were living on an island in Southeast Alaska. And it was an ordeal to get to a bookstore.
And I'm sure there were no libraries.
In our little town, there was the school library, but that was it. And although when we traveled, we would travel with the basketball team, and we often slept in the school libraries. Actually, that's because you don't, it's different than sports down here where you drive a couple hours, play your game, and then drive home. Like it's a 4 or 5 day trip to do sports in Southeast Alaska, and so we would sleep in the school libraries. And oftentimes I would start a book that I pulled off a shelf in the school library we were sleeping in, but then I couldn't finish it in time. And so then I'm like, I need this book. There's no bookstore. And so I would get it as an ebook so that I could finish it. So that's the accessibility of being able to get an ebook anywhere and quickly, like you can download an ebook right away. You don't as long as
instant gratification.
Yes, there's that. So like,
if you have internet.
There's that.
Yeah.
There's that.
You have to have internet.
Yeah, it's interesting that this isn't something we think of as much in most parts of the US, but I was working with an author who does a lot of work in like rural Africa recently, and he was saying that print books, if it's an important book, is an important asset because then if the infrastructure goes down, you still have the book.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although I used to travel with an entire suitcase full of cheap paperbacks, and as I traveled, I would leave the paperback after I read it behind in hotel rooms,
I
on
have
buses.
read some of my favorite books by
Yeah.
picking up something that someone like Brenda left on a shelf in the train station
Yeah.
or a coffee shop or whatever.
Yeah. But
So-
what that means is that by the time if you didn't time it right, your suitcase is empty and there are no more books. And then it gets really, really ugly, especially in an area where people don't speak English and my languages are not good. And so I would case the little free libraries in France looking for books in English. And I will say that I found books there that I am hanging on to until I die, and you will shovel them into my coffin with me. So it can be done, but it's so much better not to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I'm, 40 miles from Portland. Granted, this is a rural area,
Mm-hmm.
but cell phone signal is abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
And internet is intermittent. And I spent a day yesterday working offline simply because the phone network was too congested to connect me. It was, the internet was, oh, sorry, lost connection. Couldn't even watch TV. Sorry, internet connection gone.
And you're weather dependent up there on the mountain like that. If it's bad weather, everything goes to pieces.
Right. Where the cloud cover, today, the cloud cover is above 1,800 feet. I'm at 1,400 feet.
Well, we're looking out here and the sun is shining, the birds are singing, and the leaves are coming out on the trees. It feels like spring, and I know it's totally deceptive.
I know where it's 40 degrees and raining here. Well, it may not actually be raining at the moment.
There's
but
definitely a haze of green on that tree. Maybe it's spring. It's the 1st of February. Let it be spring.
Well, we often get false spring. Yeah.
For sure. On the island, we had internet issues too. But I will say that, so our mail, if I ordered a book to be delivered by the mail was delivered by float plane. So very, very weather dependent, so where we were in Alaska, we talk about it being rainy here in Portland. It rains 4 times more where we were in Alaska, which means you can't fly in a float plane. And so the mail could be very, very delayed. And often when it would come, it would be, they deliver all kinds of things on float planes. And so sometimes your package is, covered in a fish slime.
Could happen to anybody.
Right. Or anything else like that too. And so I was like, okay, even with the intermittent internet, I wanted to be able, it was faster to get my books by ebook download than it was to order it to be delivered by float plane. And then now I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I'm driving back and forth from home to shop a lot. I work here 6 or 7 days a week, and my home is 40 minutes away. And so, driving lots. So love audiobooks for that. And you can get ebooks from bookshop.org also. And you can get audiobooks from Libro.fm, which is the same kind of setup as bookshop.org, just only audiobooks.
Yeah.
I need to turn all my books into audiobooks. I need to figure out a way to do this. And that's a totally different discussion to do it. We'll think about it.
Yeah. I have a hearing disability. I wear hearing aids. And it's dialogue that I lose, specific sounds in dialogue. So audiobooks have never been a choice for me. And I have not pursued them much for disbursement of my work. And people, why can't I get your books on audio? That's why. It's because I can't hear
Well,
them.
it is pure laziness on my part. If I were more organized, I feel certain I could do it, but I just can't. I have too much other stuff going on.
Okay.
Yeah,
A question on the sidebar. Did everyone
Uh-huh.
stand around waiting for a mail airplane for Allie?
Oh, I'll bet you did.
More than exposure.
We didn't, because it was just so unpredictable when it was going to come, and if your mail was even going to be on it. But we did find anybody from the lower 48 is what we called, or down south was what we called the lower 48. If anybody from down south was shipping a package to us, we would tell them ship it next day air, like the most expensive option, because it will never get here next day, and then you'll get your
money
shipping
back.
expense refunded.
That is very cunning. I like it.
Yeah. We're down to 4 minutes.
Right.
So it's time to start a wrap up. Let's start with Clare. What are you working on now? Anything you want to push?
I have a poem coming up in the next Alternative Liberties, which is going to have a lot of poetry, it sounds like. So that's going to be exciting.
I did a first proofread on the finished book, and there's more poems than usual. So, Brenda, what are you doing?
Well, I have a novel coming out in April, and maybe I should come on and we could discuss it at some point, but it is titled Off the Screen, and it is a book I began more than 20 years ago, and it was about a reboot of the American democratic system, among other things. And at that point, the book stopped because I couldn't figure it out. Why would anyone reboot a perfectly nice system like American democracy and voting? Well, suddenly I fished the manuscript out this January, and I said, wait a minute, this all makes sense now. And you just pop in a couple sentences that, like, after the turmoils of the 2020s and the 2030s, we did, and then the book was fine. Wrote it, it's ready to come out, we're going to do that thing. And the cry that there should be more artists addressing the issues that are happening today. Heather Cox Richardson says this a lot. Well, darlings, I am here.
Yeah, well, Bobby says there were 22 poems in Alternative Liberties.
Oh, good. Good. And I see you here, Bob.
Yeah. And Allie, wrap us up with what you're up to, or what's upcoming.
Okay, so let's see here, this coming Friday here in the shop, that's February 6th, we're going to be having a letter writing and email writing and phone call party to contact Congress and Senate to demand defunding ICE.
Good.
Free to attend, free materials and all that stuff. And then among many other events, of course, but on Saturday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, I'm really excited for this. We are going to have our first movie night here at Bold. We're going to be screening Come See Me in the Good Light, which is the documentary about former Colorado Poet Laureate Andrea Gibson. And if you haven't seen them perform their work, seen any videos of their work, they're phenomenal. So I highly recommend. And then my other business, Indigo Editing, Design, and More, I am working on proofing an audiobook which is just, a passion of mine, is working on audiobooks. Really excited for that.
Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, in May, The Transference Engine by Julia Verne St. John is now Lord Byron's Curse by Irene Radford, and it will be coming out May 5th from the Book View Cafe. And that's so wonderful about doing reprints, is that you can reboot the book.
Yes, new cover and everything.
Yeah. And so I may co-opt the May edition of the Sunday Brunch in order to talk about that.
Okay, you can pop me in June or July, and would be great.
Yeah.
And then we're going to swing into the Worldcon season. That will be nice.
Yeah. And next month we have the chair of the World Fantasy Con,
Yes.
who's coming on to chat with us about the world fantasy, where, when, who, why, whatever. But also, I'd like to talk about the con culture,
Oh,
which is in danger because cons can no longer afford corporate hotels, which are the only.
Well, yeah. And the other thing is that if you are an international fan, I would hesitate to come to the United States at this moment, particularly if you are brown, female, or do not present hetero. I would really, really hesitate. And what that means is that there probably will not be an American World Con or World Fantasy again in our lifetimes. Because why would you cut off 3/4 of your audience?
Right, right. So
So
back to you, Bobby, to sign off.
wind us up, wind us up.
Mhm.
Okay, you guys look like you're all wound up already. I'd like to say thank you to the Red Coffee Cup woman. She is that your regular coffee cup, or do you just pick up what's at the table?
This is the one I drank out of this morning. This is one of our 16-ounce mugs at the shop.
Okay. I'm just curious. I mean, some people take advantage of the power and they let it go to their head. Stop that person. That's my coffee cup. But I'd like to say it's been a pleasure having you on board. I'm wondering, do you still have an infestation of beatniks around there at all?
Well, we definitely have some characters, but I think that you don't really have any problems with, I think everyone who comes in here is making a beeline for coffee.
Okay. Well, thank you there, Brenda.
I'm looking at
I will tell you that it has been a pleasure having all of you guys. Second Sunday is next week with Tom and KG.
yeah.
They're using their time on the podcast to explore culture. Um, and they've been doing a wonderful job of it. Very entertaining. Last month we talked about shared communities and the like. Every bookstores are communities that you look around. Everywhere you look, you will find community. I just recently, most unexpected community. A friend of mine said, "Hey, I'm going to the auction." And when he said the auction, I had no idea what he meant, but I went there with him. And what I then brought back was 5 cases of books
Oh dear.
that I bought for $1 a box, hardbacks from the 30s and 40s of those greatest books ever written type series in great condition. And then I picked them up, walked them over to my neighbor's house who collects books like that, looked at me, looked at his wall to wall, floor to ceiling bookshelves, and said, "Thank you," and took them. Uh, and so that was a wonderful experience for me of one community meets another because you get down to the auction, all those folks know each other, they know what each other buys. Like one guy was telling me, "Oh yeah, don't bid on anything that's brass animal." With this guy, he'll just bid you out the door. So I am learning to try and recognize and love communities as I run into them. And it is wonderful. But that said, what's coming up in BQ Press is I am working on a 2 books are in our immediate process right now. Alternative, help me, Phil.
Liberties too.
No, that's not the one.
Okay, alternative leadership.
Alternative
That's the
leadership.
one
Thank you. Yeah, Phil has come on board to help us finish that because our regular editor turned into having some eye problems that prevented her from working. And I had a whole lot of authors were starting to send me more pointed emails, we'll say, about how's this going. And the just fine response wasn't working anymore. And so thank you, Phil, for being a great emergency editor. And we are also working on our American Storm, which is
Ooh.
Alternative Liberties 2,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because we changed the title.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love changing titles.
Andrew J. Lucas asks if there are any open calls.
There's hundreds of them, just none from me.
Okay.
I I wish I could do all of the open calls that I wanted to, but I'm this is where I'm a retired disabled American vet trying to make it on my Social Security and disability. So I'm sorry, folks, I can't publish them just as fast as I'd like to. Now, if that didn't sound particularly pathetic enough, I can work on it. Give me time. But it is a wonderful experience to get to read. I mean, Claire, you're in our upcoming anthology. The title of your poem again.
Oh, yes. I believe that was the I Am Your Daughter, which was interesting because I drew on my background growing up in a Christian Dominionist church. Didn't think I'd see the day when a bunch of Supreme Court justices were in league with, my former religious leaders, but that's a perspective.
Yeah, I actually consider that. We've done one good, solid religious book, Alternative Theologies,
Theologies.
hit the bestseller list twice.
Mm.
Um, First time just because it was a great book and everybody loved it. The second time was because while we were at MissCon, somebody was offended by the content of the book and
Ooh.
came to our table and pulled my box of books out from underneath and left the money, left the computer, but took the books. And David Gerald, who, speaking of adoptive parents, has some great work in that area. Um, Posted about it, and suddenly we're on the bestseller lists again. Uh, so please, somebody wants to hurt BQ Press, steal our books, get them banned, do whatever you've got to do to stop our rampant leftist dogma from polluting the minds of your children, because
Mhm.
we will never stop until Trump personally holds the book up and throws it on the bonfire. Okay.
It's me. I'm the
In his little tiny hands.
Hey, one of my books, Guardian of the Vision, Merlin's Descendants, number 3. Some fundamentalist pastor denounced it, and they had a bonfire where they burned the book.
Oh, great.
They had to buy over 100 copies of the book in order to have them to burn.
I'll bet Tor loved it. I mean, not Tor, Daw loved it. That must have been great.
And the offending statement was that no matter what name you give to God, she is listening.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
That was the offending statement.
It's keeping their panties on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So we love that. We try and publish interesting books on good topics without the worrying about. And please, nobody take offense, but we don't worry about what pronoun you use. We don't worry about what your name implies as to sex. We just look at the writing and say, is it any good? And the that's what we like. And Claire, next time you're on, we'll be closer to release. So you ought to be
Yeah.
ready to read that because you accepted our minor edits, if I recall.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do love doing is editing. I mean, I consider it my moment to crush souls that I'm denied in so many other aspects of my life. I was military. Um, so um, thanks for that opportunity.
Wind it up. My coffee cup's empty.
Yeah, me too. I need more.
Yeah, I thank you all, and you have a good day. And I will end the stream here. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Bye.